What is the pwd command used for? The pwd command is used to print the working directory. How do you list the contents of the current directory? You can list the contents of the current directory using the ls command. What is the difference between the mv and cp commands? The mv command moves or renames files and directories, while the cp command copies files and directories. How do you create a new directory? You can create a new directory using the mkdir command. How do you remove a directory? You can remove a directory using the rmdir command. How do you concatenate files and print the output to the standard output? You can concatenate files and print the output to the standard output using the cat command. How do you view files one page at a time? You can view files one page at a time using the less or more commands. How do you display the first few lines of a file? You can display the first few lines of a file using the head command. How do you display the last few lines of a file? You can display the last few lines of a file using the tail command. How do you search for a pattern in files? You can search for a pattern in files using the grep command. How do you search for files and directories? You can search for files and directories using the find command. How do you compare two files line by line? You can compare two files line by line using the diff command. How do you apply changes from a patch file to an original file? You can apply changes from a patch file to an original file using the patch command. How do you create and extract tar archives? You can create and extract tar archives using the tar command. How do you compress and decompress files? You can compress and decompress files using the gzip or bzip2 commands. How do you securely log into a remote machine? You can securely log into a remote machine using the ssh command. How do you securely copy files between machines? You can securely copy files between machines using the scp command. How do you securely transfer files between machines? You can securely transfer files between machines using the sftp command. How do you allow a user to run a command as the superuser? You can allow a user to run a command as the superuser using the sudo command. How do you switch to the superuser account? You can switch to the superuser account using the su command. How do you send a signal to a process? You can send a signal to a process using the kill command. How do you display the status of running processes? You can display the status of running processes using the ps command. How do you display the top CPU and memory consumers? You can display the top CPU and memory consumers using the top command. How do you display the amount of free and used memory? You can display the amount of free and used memory using the free command. How do you display the amount of free and used disk space? You can display the amount of free and used disk space using the df command. How do you test the connectivity to another host? You can test the connectivity to another host using the ping command. How do you display network connections and routing tables? You can display network connections and routing tables using the netstat command. How do you configure network interfaces? You can configure network interfaces using the ifconfig command. How do you display and manipulate the routing table? You can display and manipulate the routing table using the route command. How do you query DNS servers? You can query DNS servers using the dig command. How do you count the number of lines, words, and characters in a file? You can count the number of lines, words, and characters in a file using the wc command. How do you sort lines of text? You can sort lines of text using the sort command. How do you remove duplicate lines from a You can remove duplicate lines from a file using the uniq command. How do you perform stream editing on text files? You can perform stream editing on text files using the sed command. How do you perform text processing and data analysis? You can perform text processing and data analysis using the awk command. How do you display the manual page for a command? You can display the manual page for a command using the man command. How do you display help for a command? You can display help for a command using the help command. How do you clear the screen? You can clear the screen using the clear command. How do you exit the shell? You can exit the shell using the exit command. How do you display the current date and time? You can display the current date and time using the date command. How do you display a calendar? You can display a calendar using the cal command. How do you display the names of users who are currently logged in? You can display the names of users who are currently logged in using the who command. How do you display how long the system has been up? You can display how long the system has been up using the uptime command. How do you display information about the system? You can display information about the system using the uname command.